let's get started. The topic for tonight is recently at the Astrodome in Texas, there was a stampede at a Travis Scott concert. 8 people died and dozens were seriously injured. Several lawsuits have been filed against Travis and the producer of the concert, Live Nation. Do you think Travis is responsible for this travesty? Should he have stopped the concert the moment it became clear people were hurt? Has Travis encouraged the rowdy behavior that was on display that night? If not a legal responsibility, does he have a moral one? Okay, at first I wasn't going to do this topic. I actually was not interested all that much, but last night, talking to both our good friends Doobie and Amanda, we realized there was a lot of division here. So, yeah, I think you guys are all familiar with this by now. There was
Travis Scott.
I don't know. Not sure if I've ever listened to any of his music. So I actually have.
That's a lie. You had to have. You live in America.
Not Prime. Like, even I did a little bit of cursory research into the man's mute. Like, I'm Pyro. Come on.
I can almost guarantee you that I have not. I live in a fucking bubble here.
I'm actually
so
hurt.
like if
I'm
you don't like that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Antidote.
And
like Goosebumps, those are his like most famous.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sicko
It doesn't
mode.
matter.
Like-
I have no these are just words to me. But in any case,
Those are just words.
yes, there was a lot of people at that concert. People were hurt and like severely so, and then yes, people lost their lives. And people were trying to figure out who should deserve that blame. So I'm really curious what these individuals have to say about this. We will start with Wiggle for an opening statement. Wiggle.
God deserves this blame for allowing this to happen. Oh, fuck with you. But I would have to say that I find it very surprising, and I actually said this to Ryan too, as like the amount of people that are like, it's all Travis Scott's fault, etc. The same people that like a couple weeks ago would be like, it's not Alec Baldwin's fault at all. There's no rules. There's no rules about gun safety. There's no rules that you have to follow if you're an actor. There's people who have to deal with this for you, etc., etc. And because that man is white, you'll hear that all these people go to his defense, the celebrity himself. And then when it's Travis Scott, he's a demon. He's a demonic person, evil person. He's horrible. Everything that he did led up to this. From the beginning that he was born, etc. The original sin of being black, everything's his fault. But I will say that like after looking at everything, yeah, he does share some blame. He shares like a good amount of blame. Morally, he should feel bad. But I mean, to say that he takes all the blame is ridiculous. To say he takes all the blame is ridiculous. This is a group effort. And Travis Scott is definitely one of the group members, and that is literally going to be my take from the beginning to the end.
I was gonna go in order, but B-More gifted another 100 bits just to say Pyro don't know shit. So Pyro, maybe you can disprove
fuck
that.
This nigga,
so go
fuck this dude, B-More. Like, he ain't even on the panel and he talking mad shit. He got 1 point and 1 point only, and that's fuck Travis Scott. So like, fuck you, dude. Like, one, I don't necessarily like Travis Scott as a person, but like, I'm following like some of the same stances as Wiggle here, like looking into it and shit. Like, bro, there's fucking rules and shit when it comes to like how you set up a concert and a venue and shit like that. Like, I don't know if Travis Scott can be held like legally responsible. I don't necessarily know if I would agree with that, but like morally, yeah, that nigga should feel bad. Like that nigga he should really feel bad about that. Like, there ain't no reason that your fans go that crazy. Like, I live in a city where like he's performed multiple times. I understand how wild his fans can get sometime when he's like stepping out on the stage doing his wrestler entrance and shit. Like, but Jesus fucking Christ, you're not gonna tell me that this is solely because of Travis Scott. Nah, motherfucker, he's been doing concerts everywhere. But nah, it's in the Astrodome in Texas. Like, and then like reading some of this shit, it's like, yeah, they're talking about how it kind of there were spots where like it corralled them and it was like a closet that you couldn't exit and shit like that. And it's like, seems like part of this was just bullshit. And like now we're just trying to blame Travis for that. Morally, he should feel bad. Like, yeah, but like legally, nah.
Okay. Beamer also gets another 300 bits saying hashtag Baldwin for prison. So, all right.
Ace.
We'll go to Amanda.
I just don't like Alec Baldwin.
We'll go to Amanda Smash. Love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so Scott built a brand as an unruly performer, encouraging his fans to break into his concerts and engage in activities like the one that left, it's actually not 8 people, another person passed away, so 9 people dead, and many still in critical condition. Legally, security is more than likely responsible for, along with the event, security is the responsibility of the event organizers and the venue more than the performer. But as the performer, you need to be aware of your influence and the impact you have in the type of spaces that you cultivate. I think anytime you see someone hurt, if it doesn't endanger you should do anything you can to help. And I think that Scott could have done what many artists had done in the past and stopped the concert and say, hey, we're not going to continue this until this is resolved. But he didn't. I don't think he deserves all of the blame. I don't think that there should be any criminal responsibility put on Scott here. I do think there's a lot of moral responsibility just because he did not stop the concert. And I'd like to see him acknowledging the dangers of his behavior from encouraging the pushing that caused some of these deaths. So yeah, that's my opening statement.
Yeah, sure. All right. Let's get to. Let's go to Doobie next.
Yeah, I think that people who are saying that there's a moral responsibility here for Travis are kind of silly. I think the legal responsibility probably lies with the venue, and I don't think there's any evidence that he did anything wrong. Everywhere is saying that there's no evidence that he knew that people were seriously injured. And when he found out that they were seriously injured, he stopped the concert. So, I don't know what more you want from the dude. That's my statement, I guess.
Victoria, I think is deafened. Victoria, do you look at the screen? Victoria.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yep. Your turn.
Okay, sorry about that. I agree with Amanda a lot, where he does have a behavior where he did encourage a lot of his fans to break into, the Astrodome. There was a lot of accounts of people jumping, the walls, jumping to break in. There were videos of his security team who were literally throwing people, just launching people out because they were just being unruly. But my thing is that there was also video of him showing that he saw people who were getting hurt. He saw people were actively, there was something very, very wrong, but he continued. He didn't stop. There was a video of him, the big meme of him, being on top of that tall tower, and he's like, oh, while people are dying, he's doing the robot. But prior to him doing that, he was like, oh, everybody look, move out of the way. There's an ambulance, or there's medical trying to get to that person. So why do you continue when you see the medical, the ambulances, all these people that are getting hurt, that are screaming, stop the show, stop the show? Why would you not stop? Why would you continue? So I feel that he is at fault legally, because people died, and he could have done a many of things to stop the show, but he didn't.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, so opens the panel.
Why didn't police just make him stop the show then?
Victoria, I think your mic is rubbing against something.
Yeah, so it was actually within the contract that Travis was not able to stop the concert. Only the
Thank you.
Yeah, so there were two. I can't remember exactly what two people or
I think it was the producer and the organizer, the festival organizer and one of his not his entourage, but his producer or something. They had the power to stop the show.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah, so I still feel like he still had some responsibility though to he physically can stop the show. Maybe he would have taken a hit financially, maybe even civil lawsuits, depending on how it would have played out. I don't know, but he could have stopped the show. He's the one in charge of his own body.
Right. I agree with that fully, because it's at the end of the day, oh, well, he would have taken a hit there, but he's also going to take a hit now because now he's going to have a giant lawsuit against him for killing 9 people. Because there have also
He
there
didn't kill anyone. Whoa, like that's extreme.
That's some racist shit.
well, how is that racist?
Wait, no,
He
time
didn't
out,
kill
time out.
anyone.
Wait. I just got a question. Like, before we say he killed anyone, like, I watched like a lot of videos. No, I didn't. I watched one video, so I have to ask on the one video I watched. Was it Travis Scott himself who dropped that girl on her head, or was it like the police officer and the horrible organization of the event, where like they had non-medical people doing these medical activities? Like, like who? That doesn't seem like Travis Scott dropping someone on their head and potentially killing them. That sounds like a organizational problem. So I'm not gonna like be like, yeah, Travis Scott killed people. Ah. Nah.
Okay, all right, that was I guess a misspeak, but due to his action, or more realistically, his inaction, it got of quite a few people killed. There have been other instances of this happening at different shows, like with different concerts at different venues, and a lot of the cases where this has happened for different people, yeah, the band is usually held liable. There was even like the Who in like 1979, where even before they opened, it was like outside. They even opened the venue. There was a series of crowd crush because the audience could hear that they were practicing, and they thought it was like that they were starting without them. So they started panicking and they crushed people. There was like 7 dead and like 23 that got injured. And guess who paid out? The Who.
And
like,
Yeah, I'm like you. Sorry, you go.
You can go ahead. Oh. I'm gonna say this is kind of my issue, is that we are well aware that pushing, like that's what it's called, pushing in the concerts and stuff, and has had instances where people have died, and so I just don't understand how he could like he didn't encourage this that I'm aware of on that night. He's encouraged this in his past, but I am not aware that he's ever discourage this type of behavior. And I think that, like I said in my opening statement, as a artist, I think you have a responsibility in how you cultivate your spaces.
All right, I just want to say once again, this is crazy because it's a black man. When Donald Trump did this and we had January 6th, I see one guy living scot-free in Florida, enjoying his life, not responsible, did everything that you're speaking about, but it's Travis Scott, and he killed those people. You know, he did it himself. All right?
I would have this exact same opinion, no matter the color of the skin of the person that we're talking about. We just so happen to be
So far,
okay.
it's
I'm
like
like, we just so happen to be
Who are
who
very,
we're talking
very,
about right
very
now.
white. The Who is very white. The Who is a very white band, and they had to pay out, and they got blamed for it.
When we're talking
what is their nationality?
If we're gonna talk about like all the like the specifics,
I thought we talked about Americans.
We could talk about the race or whatever, but I would want to talk about like how the venues were set up, like who actually in the contracts took the liability for that shit. Was it actually the Who or was it the venue? You said the venue was outside. Sounds like that's something that'd be like, yeah. It's
well, no, they
outside.
weren't even in the venue yet. They were like setting up. That's the even crazier part, was that they were outside of the venue. They hadn't even opened the doors yet, but it was a tunnel to go into the venue.
Yeah, well, I think it's even more ridiculous. It's even more ridiculous to hold the Who responsible for that, because they weren't even doing the concert yet. Like, how is it therefore the people are just fucking crazy?
Well, no, I can see why it would land on the Who, because like a lot of these people got hurt outside the venue, like,
waiting for the Who.
Yeah, and
they were waiting for that, but like I understand like the morality and like in the moral sense, I can maybe agree with you.
No,
but like, when we're talking about legally and shit like that, I'm like, bruh, like legally they're gonna argue that in court. Like, technically, judge, they were outside, like 2 feet outside of the entrance to the venue before they got their head stomped in. So I'm sorry. Now, like morally, if you want to make that argument, like maybe with Travis Scott, I can believe it more. Like with his audience and shit, maybe y'all can argue with that and convince me. But like with the Who, like there's some questions. They're like they just heard him practicing. Like were they practicing over the loudspeakers? And they're like you ask the questions why they did that. But like I don't think those two things are really that compatible.
I think like I hold all like I hold that all men are created equal, you know, men and women. And so like if Donald Trump, he was the president of the United States, is not liable for January 6th and, you know, inciting riots or anger, stop the steal movement, etc., like then like it's kind of weird to like hold Travis Scott to this standard when, you know, the almost the leader of our nation, the person that's supposed to be the representation of all of us, doesn't have to hold that responsibility themselves. That feels like some like Magna Carta type shit. I don't know.
I think Trump is responsible for that. I don't think anyone here disagrees with that. I don't know.
Until he's held responsible, it's kind of weird to like start looking for black men and then holding them responsible.
Well, I mean, technically, at that time, was he still not technically the president of the United States?
As the president of the United States. Wait. Does the president of the United States have the legal ability to incite a fucking riot on the Capitol?
I feel like as president, you know, maybe the Capitol building is part of it.
I feel like inciting a coup on the Capitol is something that the government itself would be like, no.
But the president can get away with a lot of shit. Like there are literally
that's okay.
There are literal
and I don't think that should be the case.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that should be the case, and
we don't agree with it.
Yeah, I think it's silly that we are trying to bridge these, like just because Donald Trump hasn't been held responsible, we can't hold anyone responsible now. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that keeps black men charged and locked up. But
like we don't even
like
have to
Donald
go
Trump.
We don't have to go as extreme as Donald Trump.
I think the racial aspect is really weak. I don't think that's even like a. Why would you bring that up?
If we wanted to make a comparison,
because think 2 weeks ago, how many people would defend Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, like we can literally like we don't
have
to go to Donald Trump. We can talk about Alec Baldwin.
There are also lots of people not defending Alec Baldwin, right?
Yeah,
and so they need to be charged, right? So yeah, I don't know why you're bringing up the racial aspect.
Oh, because we can bring it up because we're looking at the medial aspect, and like the media aspect is like when they talk about Alec Baldwin, like there is that defensive aspect that it is kind of on the gun armor and shit, and you know the crew who were handling that should have taken care of it. But when I read the Travis Scott shit, like it seems to be like a lot of articles are trying to sneak in that blame on him and like be like, is there call for these legal?
What?
I see what you guys
what you're doing is trying to make this a race issue because he happens to be black and the issue's not one. Right? If you read especially like right after this came out, right after it came out that Alec Baldwin shot those people, right? If you read the articles, this was all about blaming Alec Baldwin, right? And then as the story developed, they found out, oh shit, this person might have fucked up, or that person might have fucked up. Right? And I see that the same shit's happening with Travis Scott, right? So initially, there was a lot of blame on him because he's a person with a microphone that can tell people to stop pushing, that can tell people that he's not going to perform until this person gets to safety or whatever the fuck. Now they're saying, hey, actually, it was the way that the venue was set up. Oh, actually, he doesn't have the ability to stop the show, right? Actually, he didn't know that this was happening. And so, I just don't think there's anything racial about this. I don't know why you guys are pushing it that way.
I mean, all right. So, I first and foremost, I explained why I would think it's there's a racial element for sure. And then the other part of it would be that in the concert, you guys said that, he would have the ability to stop. We've already described that it's, not in the contract. But then what would happen if Travis Scott, right then and there, stopped the concert completely? How do you know there wouldn't be more people that would be hurt?
Yeah, we're talking about his rowdy fans, right? Like, Travis Scott I'm done. I'm not gonna, nope. I don't see his fans just being like, oh, we're going to calm down now. Being to one of his concerts, it's going to get rowdier. More people are going to get hurt, especially in, like I said in the opening statement, the way it was just set up. The closet corners or whatever, how they described it, how it was, just really compacted and, the barriers didn't allow people to escape. Situation where you have a crowd going crazy,
Have you guys sorry.
Go ahead.
Have you guys seen the footage of Linkin Park stopping their concert when this mosh pits and pushes started happening?
Yeah.
I hear a band with white members being referenced. I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking
Oh my
with you.
god.
I'm
I
getting
hate
more
you.
tired by the second. It is almost time for a nap.
Yeah.
Good night,
so
guys.
so it's yeah. I mean, you could reference like metal bands, right? Or I'm sure there you could find other black bands, right, where they've had to stop the show at some point. I mean, I've seen videos of people stopping the show, someone's like passed out or whatever the fuck. If you want to reference a black guy, Obama did it when people pass out at his fucking speeches, right? It happens sometimes. You know, you get really riled up. You're in a fucking situation where you got like thousands of people pushing around you. Yeah, sometimes people pass out, they fall over, they get stomped on, whatever. So yeah, I think that you're gonna find situations where the band was aware that this was happening, and they were able to stop it. But in this specific case, everything that Travis was saying, everything that his people are saying, representatives are saying, is that he didn't know that there was a serious injury when he was continuing the show. When he did find out that there was a serious injury, he stopped, right, and he tried to make sure that person got help.
I thought he couldn't stop it.
No, he did stop it. Yeah, so when
He
he
could
found
have
out,
done it earlier, right?
yeah, sure, but he didn't know. He's got this massive fucking crowd of 50,000 people in front of him. Like, he can't pay attention to every fucking individual spot in the crowd where someone might be getting hurt. We're talking about like 9 people that like died, right? Like, you got a fucking crowd of 50,000 people in front of you. You're not gonna, and you're performing with lights in your face and all this fucking shit around you. You're not gonna be able to see these individual spots of the crowd all the time.
Well, the deaths
I mean, this
aside,
is-
you also have all these, like, there was like hundreds of people who got hurt. There was also the video of the one girl who had like climbed onto the tower to like try to get his attention to be like, hey, stop the show. There was hundreds of people chanting, stop the show, stop the show. Like, yes, I can understand that there's lights and stuff all in his face, but it was like, even like the stage, like, because he has like the inner ear so he can hear himself sing and stuff like that, but that's also to contact the towers and shit. Like, why would his crew also not tell him, hey, there's some shit going down, maybe we should take a break, or maybe we should stop?
This sounds like, you're extending the blame to like the crew members. I like that.
I
like
know,
that,
I
'cause
agree
At
that-
first,
I
you were saying that
agree.
he killed them.
Yeah.
Well,
We're
I
now-
agree.
now-
I agree that Travis, the crew, and the venue
getting
should
some
be
ground
held
here.
liable.
Okay, so
No,
we're
yeah.
gaining
We're
ground. I
making
like
some-
it. We're moving forward. We're advancing.
I
Okay.
really think that the video of the girl that got up and was like trying to get the video camera's attention, and he was like, I'm gonna push
Right.
you off if you don't get down. I
That's
think
pretty
that,
fucking rude.
yeah, like, I mean, if someone's up there like freaking out, you should probably check
But
in.
like,
That's true.
But like,
I mean, it looks bad. It looks bad. I mean, there's a perspective of like, let's say you're doing that job, and then you're trained every single through all your training. You're told while you're doing this job, if somebody comes up here, the show must go on. You have to continue. There's gonna be drunk people in the crowd. You can't tell if they're drunk. You can't tell what drugs they're on. They're coming on there. They're trying to touch you. They're trying to get a hold of you. That's for security. If you're not security, security will deal with that for you. So we don't actually know exactly why that person did what they did, but we can definitely say that it looks really bad, especially now after the fact.
yeah, like it definitely looks bad.
Possibly
after-
could have relayed the message.
Yeah, but like when I'm thinking about climbing the tower and like someone pushing them off doing their job, I'm like, I imagine they're training, and I'm like, yeah, like given the specific artist, they're probably told like, this is something you're gonna have to deal with, and when you do deal with it, here's what you do. But, like, I can understand where right now from where we're sitting, it looks bad, but like in the moment, I don't know if that person's actually, bad because like I was just following my training. Like someone climbed up at, a concert that I'm trained to do this shit at, and like I followed the training. Like I didn't know they were trying to, but like I do hope, like, yeah, they could have maybe relayed the message and be like, yeah, someone's up here trying to warn me of some shit. Like after they pushed them off and whatever.
So you think that these people are trained to push people off in response to them coming up? Is that what really confused there.
No, I think they're trained to get rid of those people, not like push them down like off of towers and shit, but like as a camera crew, you're trained to like not have them damage the cameras or the technology and shit. I think the positioning of where that shit was just like unfortunate. Like I've been to either the concerts, baseball games, or like camera crews are on top of like the dugouts and shit, and people will climb up on them, and then like they push them back. No, like if you're saying like this person like picked them up and like launched them, like please link the video in chat so I can see that, because like I'm gonna be real, I watched the one video, like I'm not gonna front on that.
No,
I could link
he
the
threatened
video.
that he would throw her off.
So like he didn't actually throw her off. He
just threatened her if she didn't stop and leave him alone.
Then yeah, I can
Right.
definitely, like, if he didn't actually fucking launch her, then I can definitely understand, like, yo, get the fuck away from me, I'm doing my job. Like, I can understand that. Like, it's concert, like, drunk people, you're not exactly sure, like, yeah, I can definitely see why he would just be like, yo, I'm ignoring you, like, I ignore the audience, camera, focus on the camera, focus on the job. Again, it does look really bad now, and maybe he could have, like, relayed a message or something, but, like, I can still understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, I don't have any like expertise in this, but some of the threads that I was reading was saying like camera crew only has like one line in, so like they can only hear. But I can't see them not having like some sort of way to contact security. And I just think that no matter what, if someone jumps up on there, that should have been what happened.
Yeah, I would say like the security, like they should have first and foremost, like people shouldn't be able to just jump up there and then like have access to this person from behind. So like security should be there, and then if security was like right there, then they would be able to listen to those two individuals, the woman and like the guy that were saying that people are dying, etc. And then the fact that like they weren't there is an indicative of like a failure of security, and then it looks like terrible for this guy. Whatever, like he could be an evil person, you don't know, and it's like one of the beauties of America is like innocent until proven guilty type stuff.
So
Yeah.
one second. I'm gonna bring in a new person. I'm gonna take myself off screen, and we'll have someone else join the conversation. So
Is this a CTV moment?
Jason's aside.
Yay!
Is here.
A musician. He's a musician, so.
Yeah, so here's what he has to say. I'll take myself off screen, and you guys can continue to work this out. Okay, Jason. Oh, sorry.
Can I say one thing?
Amanda, and then Jason, sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't think anyone involved in this is evil. Like, I just think it was negligent. Very negligent.
Yeah, so my personal experience has been I've had to stop shows. I've broken contracts to stop shows because people got hurt. Nobody died, but it was always very clear, at the shows we did that, as soon as you saw somebody fall down, people were there to help pick them up, and that was the rule, and there is like, and I think there's a couple different things going on here. Like, there's a big fanfare for Travis Scott everywhere the guy goes. It's like it's fucking insane. It reminds me of like kind of like how Michael Jackson or something was back in the day. Like people like flood this guy no matter where he goes. I watched him do this thing at a gas station where he was doing a promo for his drink Cacti, right? And people just flooded him. Like, I mean, they were all over this guy. So he's got this like really intense fanfare. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is like, okay, so hip hop shows, I can tell you from both being in hip hop shows and actually fucking helping to run hip hop shows, they run way different than like a metal show does, right? Metal shows, they know that there's going to be a possibility for people to get hurt because of what's going on. They know that they have to have really well-trained security that know how to deal with situations in like mosh pits and stuff like that, right? And so the way they treat the shows in terms of security is a lot different than they do in like hip hop and like dance shows, even like EDM shows, everything, So what my suggestion would be is I do think there's going to be some culpability for Travis Scott because he is listed as one of the organizers of the show, which means that makes him responsible for, the security and the logistics and stuff. So unfortunately, he's going to have some kind of civil liability. I think the moral liability really comes in is if he did see people falling down, which I know there was one incident where he saw people go down and he did stop for a second and let them get out of that. My bigger concern is about this mass casualty event that was reported to Live Nation, and then Live Nation letting the show continue 37 minutes after. Now, we can't say whether or not he knew that, but unfortunately, because he contracted with Live Nation and he is an organizer, he's going to be somewhat responsible for that. Outside of that, I think that when you see a crowd crush like that, I know from the stage, it is very visible, especially the front of the stage, like where a lot of this is happening. You can see that. You're very, very aware of that. I mean, I know I was very cognizant of that because we would have like a lot of like people that were of smaller stature and stuff like that. They'd be at our shows and they'd end up in the front, just want to like bob their heads and dance. And they'd end up getting pulled back into mosh pits, like even women and stuff. And you'd have to stop and say, hey, cool that shit out, and you have to have that control. Now, again, it's a lot different when you're dealing with, I think he had like 50,000 people or something at that show. I can't remember. It was something crazy like that. There was like a crazy number. So that ability to control even from the stage, it wanes a little bit, but you definitely know what's going on at the front of the stage. You definitely know. And you're in contact with your security usually. You usually will have an earpiece in, and there are backline producers that are talking to you. There's usually a production or a sound production place out actually past the crowd. And those people are usually in an earpiece and are talking either to each other and relaying that to the artist, or the artist has direct connect to both of them. So they do have a way to communicate. There's a lot of hand signals and stuff they use as well, like that you'll work out with security, before you even go on and do the show. So there is some of that happens. There's some coordination there, at least, and I can say, moreover, from the metal side, that there's a lot of that happens, just because of the wall of death and the big circle pits and stuff like that. You have to know how to mitigate, people getting hurt, and that's why you haven't heard about mass casualty events at like these metal concerts. Not saying that there hasn't been somebody that died or hasn't been people that have been injured, but they've managed to avoid the worst of it just through the way that they manage security and the support staff. It's not even just security, it's also the medical staff. It's the other people like that are involved, that are helping to pull people out and make sure that they get treated the way that they need to be treated. It sounds like they were missing a little bit of those components. And I think the easiest way to fix the situation is start treating these bigger shows, these bigger hip hop shows, just like you would a metal show. You'll mitigate a lot of the risk. And people like Travis Scott, who probably in earnest was just trying to put on a good show for people and oblige his contract. I don't think the guy had any ill intent, and I don't think he was trying to be necessarily reckless. I think there was probably a lot of miscommunication. I think there was a breakdown in security, and that's where it all comes from.
Yeah, I would say that that is solid advice. Treat it like a metal show, etc. I about his liability because he's an organizer. His lawyer came out and said that only the festival director and the executive producers had the authority to stop the show, and they said that Travis Scott or no one in his crew had those roles, so that could help him with liability in the sense that could be part of Live Nation or other people that were involved at the event who had the venue. And other than that, I'd say that it's a unique situation because Travis Scott is from Houston, so that is his home. He's probably performed there more than anywhere else, I'd imagine. And then beyond that, he is he's a very famous, he's extremely famous hip hop artist at this point in time. So people would be aware of him. They would know him. They would know the fact that this guy is having an event in the city is a big thing. There is something to look into. So we'd have to ask about that. If you're saying there's a culture at metal shows like you're describing, and so they've accommodated for that and security accommodates for that, you'd have to ask yourself why wouldn't they accommodate for Travis Scott? If everybody has all this information, they know about Travis Scott, the environment he brings to his events. And beyond that, they also know that this guy is from this city. They've had so many experiences with him before. People are going to get even more wild because it's a rapper who's performing or an artist performing in his own city. Where's the preparation?
Yeah, that's what I would ask, because you were making a lot of points, and I agreed with all of them. But like the one question that came up to me, like it like from what I read and like how it was set up, and that's why I keep like harkening back to the setup. It just seemed like they weren't prepared. I mean, like they had like security trying to do like EMT jobs and carry people away. That doesn't sound like something you prepared for. And then like I look at other Travis Scott concerts and like they may be rowdy, there may be some moshing, but like it doesn't happen. So like I'm wondering like what went into that. Like like if anything, if I'm being charitable, let's say like maybe he prepared for like what he normally receives, and since this is his hometown, maybe it was just like a little bit more. But like those are the questions I would ask.
Wasn't the venue known to be so relatively unsafe in comparison to other venues too? Weren't there problems with this specific venue?
Yeah, like when I was reading the one of the articles, one of the specific problems that like led to like a lot of people getting trampled is like that over section where like they hopped over and like that right in front of the stage.
Mhm.
The security supports in the gates were really fucking sturdy, which like sounds like a good idea until you get that situation and motherfuckers are being trampled and panicking, and then they can't get out. They can't
Mhm.
move. And that's exactly the type of stuff people were reporting out. Like it felt like you were trapped, and like that's why I kept saying it. It felt like you were trapped in a closet and then the door had been shut. And like when you're in a situation like that, I can see exactly where like something that the artist himself is used to, something that like everyone's used to, and that like you prepare for that can quickly turn into something that's just like, wow, what the actual fuck? And like if what Amanda's saying is true, and like this venue is just like historically unsafe, then yeah, I would look at the venue like you guys knew this shit was unsafe. Like and you did nothing to like maybe even fix the problem after all of these years. Like
Yeah, and especially knowing the fans of Travis Scott, you would think that they would put in more security and have more like paramedics and things like that in order to avoid something like this. It just feels really negligent all around. I still think Travis was negligent. I think he should have stopped the concert. I feel like at that moment, I don't think he knew that people were dying, but it just seemed like he cared more about the concert than his fans.
What about the incidents where the people rushed in beforehand, before the this particular concert moment started? That moment when people rushed in, and the gates were knocked down. Who has responsibility for that?
That'd got to be the venue, right? Security in the venue. If you rush the gates are supposed to be what you're responsible for. And like the artist may not even be there at that point in time. You know, the artist is ready to preparing to perform. Is probably preparing the audio, getting ready to perform. If that's the security's job.
Well,
But at the same
typically
time,
security is handled by the organizers, though. That's the thing. Like the venue has usually will have very slim security, and then the organizers will bring in their own security. Usually, you're talking about like a lot of off-duty police officers or correctional people.
I mean, but like the question would still stand though. Like even like it seems like he did bring in some security. Like there were police officers there and stuff. Why didn't they do their job? Like this is a crowd after all. Like they're here to see one person, and given the chance, like we know how crowds and mobs are. Why weren't these precautions met? Like what? Like I was looking at some of the videos while like you and Wiggle were going back and forth, and like the ones where the barricades are broken down, like it was really flimsy to be honest. Like yeah, and then like the spacing of like the not the troops or but like the officers and shit like that. Like I can understand how they had breaches in their fucking line because there were massive fucking holes in their line. Like what the fuck? And then like I get then it's like the security weren't doing their job right or like the right way, or they weren't doing it at all. I don't know specifically, but like they weren't doing it right. And then like that match was lit and it exploded. The fans obviously are like kind of shitbags for not having the respect to like just wait in line, but like when it comes to like the organization and shit, like and talking about Travis Scott, this is shit that yeah is expected.
I feel like, and this might just be because I'm an organizer myself, like, I still want to make sure that everything's checked off. Like, I don't care if I've had to give a job to somebody else. I'm going to make sure that that job was done. And I think that's something that performers should do if they're not doing it now. Take more of an active role in this. But then again, that would probably give establish more liability. So maybe they don't do that on purpose.
Yeah, to Wiggles' response earlier, I think they're not gonna find Travis Scott civilly responsible for not stopping the concert. I don't think that's where the civil responsibility is. I think it's going to be in relation to how the security and the support infrastructure was built. They're going to say that because he's tied to it, because he's one of the organizers, he was negligent in that. And I think that's where the problem is. I don't think that he's going to have a problem with the not stopping the concert part.
But even with that, then, if he was in a position in that contract where their plan was that he's not someone who's able to stop it, etc., how much blame will he be able to take? Because there are people who are above him that would have to shoulder most of that blame.
Oh, sure. No, I think you're going to get, it'll be some kind of sliding scale percentage of some kind, but he'll bear some responsibility. There's no question that he'll bear some. I don't think it's going to be as bad as what Live Nation is going to be hit with, because Live Nation has had other incidents that were pretty bad too. Not to this degree, but they've definitely shown their negligence, and having worked with them, they can be kind of a shit show, to be honest with you. So I definitely see that they're going to face some liability in it, and the venue, I'm not sure. I think it's probably going to fall mostly straight on Live Nation. I think they're going to get the brunt of it.
Yeah, because I think I was reading somewhere where they are even saying that the Astroworld venue can legitimately hold up to 200,000 people. But it's just one of those things with how it was set up. It was literally the shape of the stage, the way everything was just.
I love it.
Well, yeah, it's just because it was how they had the shape was it was the long hallway with the stage in the back, and then they had where the cameras were set up was a box in the back. So it's nobody wanted to be in front of the box where the cameras and stuff and the audio equipment was. So they all kind of surged around it to try to get as close to the stage as possible. So it's having that set up, it was that was another factor that they said could have caused so much crowd crush.
DB, and then Amanda.
So I really wish I'd done more research before coming on. I did read the article you sent, Prime, but I didn't do much research beyond that, to be honest with you. And now that I've done the research, I found that there are multiple videos of Travis stopping the concert or pausing the concert when he notices someone was in distress, or when he noticed the ambulance came, he notices someone was unconscious, and directing the security to that unconscious person, telling people to back off, and yada yada, right? There are, and he's saying, his people are saying that he had no idea anybody was seriously injured until afterwards, right? Until after the show was done. That's when they found out that people were seriously injured. He's aware that some people were unconscious, some people, got minor injuries and shit that they had, where they had to be pulled out by an ambulance. You can even see in the video where he notices the ambulance coming to the crowd. He stops and he looks confused as fuck, looking around. And says, "What the fuck is that?" Right? Because he had no fucking idea how serious the situation was. Right? So now that I've seen these videos, I'm even more convinced that this man did nothing wrong, and I don't know why you white people are trying to blame him for this. To be honest with you, it's really fucked.
I mean, it feels like he was just unprepared for how the venue was set up. Sounds like did the preparations he would do for a normal fucking concert, and then some of the normal matches that are fucking lit at his concerts got lit because of the fucking venue, and you could say his organizational skills when it comes to security and shit, but then that's liability on the people in charge of that who weren't him. Then it's I can't see where it's Travis Scott bad.
Yeah, I also I was reading that he reimbursed all of the ticket sales that he has offered to pay for the funerals of the people that had passed away, but he's also offered to pay for counseling services, and I don't know if that extends to his entire concert or just the people that were hurt. But I want to know what you guys think would be what type of accountability you would like.
Can I say something real quick? Because I keep noticing this coming up in chat that he went to an after party. Yeah, he went to an after party, all of the people involved, and like we don't know what went on in that after party. We don't know if like they were actually like partying, like if Travis Scott himself was like actually partying, or what they were doing immediately after. Like his people, like they're obviously going to be biased in this, are saying that like yeah, they did it to fucking regroup and figure out what exactly was going on after they stopped the show 40 minutes later. Because yeah, the live leak, not the live leak, but the live world shit was already airing and like it was already live. So like yeah, it sounds like they stopped, went back into their after party to like try and figure out this shit. Cause like yeah, if you're having people die, like I can understand
I'm
why we
sorry, I'm
would
gonna call
want this.
bullshit. Nope, I'm
What's
gonna
up?
call bullshit. Like they could like they definitely did not have to go to an after party. They could have just went somewhere and had
But
these
it's
meetings.
Drake. No, fuck with you.
Oh god.
You don't want to leave Drake on standby.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just thinking back to an event that I had organized, a dodgeball tournament, Friendship 2020, with all the campaign staffers, and it happened on the day that El Paso shooting happened. And so we canceled the entire thing, and like, yeah, like I would have looked. I don't like that they went to
Listen,
an
like
after party.
I'm not gonna like I understand like you're an organizer, but like in that situation, I can look at Travis Scott and being like, listen, they already had this place that that had security and shit like anyway, that they were planning to do this after party and shit. Like, yeah, why not just go there and like have a little regrouping to like look at your apps and your phones and shit. I
Yeah.
can definitely fucking see that versus like he should have been out in the crowds like trying to help people. Like, bro, he's Travis fucking Scott. The remaining fans probably wouldn't have given a fuck about the hurt ones and then swarmed again.
No, and that would have been the fatal mistake, is him getting into the crowd. It would have
Yeah.
made it so much fucking worse. Like
Yeah.
he did do the right thing by staying up on stage and not trying to get in the middle of shit. Yeah, that would have been utter fucking catastrophe.
Yeah, and I think that given that we're talking about like 9 people in a crowd of like 50,000, right? And I don't think that there's any responsibility for him to like find out how injured those injured people were, the ones that he noticed.
There's probably
and-
more injured. Those are the
Yeah, there's
best.
probably and saying that he can't go to an after party, right? Like, I actually think it's kind of weird that you stopped your after party for something that happened states away that you had nothing to do with and have no ability to contribute to. That's kind of weird that you would stop an after party because of something like that. So yeah, he had this massive fucking concert. Let him fucking celebrate. Like, and I'm sure he didn't get to because he probably found out that this happened. And these people died at the after party, and then oh shit, his night's ruined, right?
You know, also,
Like,
like, what else
just
is he,
don't-
what else is he
well, I
supposed
think that,
to
like-
do? Like, run around,
Yeah, what's he-
panicking, like,
exactly, like, what's he
stay in
supposed
one
to do?
place and like let the information come to you as that figure. Like, yo, are these people okay? Keep me updated. Keep me updated. Keep the information flowing. You don't like go around with your chicken head cut off and like, are these people okay? Like, I gotta go to the hospital and check on them. You're gonna cause a commotion at the hospital. Even more people are gonna die because it's a hospital. Like,
It's about like solidarity and respect. So like the reason we stopped is because so like I said, it was a campaign staffer thing. Beto O'Rourke had like 50 staffers at this event. Some of them were from El Paso, and so when they were pulling out, we were like, okay, in solidarity, we're going to stop the entire concert, or not concert, sorry, the tournament. But no one's really answered my question in regards to what type of accountability you want to see. I can see Doobie doesn't want anything.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
he has any. I don't think he has any responsibility for what happened.
like legal
Just based on information.
No, I
accountability.
think people bring up a good point, which isn't as relevant now. I mean, people say, like he creates a culture of like doing this. That's 100% true. But then you'd have to ask yourself, like, if he creates a culture of doing this, why weren't they prepared? If they knew, you're just giving you're saying that like people knew this was the case. Everybody knew that this guy does this at his concerts. So then when you give him a venue with this many people, and then you're not prepared in his own home, like the place that knows him best. But at this point anyway, like that culture, is led to these people coming into this venue, trampling over each other, etc., to listen to this guy's music, to just see this guy, and there's 9 deaths. So at that point in time, I'd imagine like the changes you'd want to see is something, and so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, like for me, I said at the beginning, he should feel bad, but like legally, like I don't really see how this is gonna be pinned on him. Like I'm open to be surprised, but like he should feel bad because of exactly what Wiggle just said. Like his concerts are like this. Like, people don't die, but like they get pretty fucking rowdy. For like what type of repercussions I'd like to see? Like, I'd like to see him make changes, like maybe boost in security, maybe like get on the fucking role of telling his audience to calm down and shit. Maybe he can make some changes to the way he performs so that like his concerts are safer, because unfortunately this is America and not everyone's gonna have the safest venue places.
But I thought this whole thing was a satanic sacrifice, anyways.
Oh yeah, no, but like, see, we gotta ignore that, right? You can't say that part out loud. No, Jesus
Am I
Christ.
not mistaken with him? He was actually like tweeting out, telling people to like jump the walls and like break into the concert.
There was one tweet, and I think it could be interpreted kind of either way. Like, oh, this is what's happening, as opposed to like encouraging it.
What was the
But-
tweet?
Oh,
Let me
exactly.
find
Yeah,
it,
go
because
look
I
it up.
believe he deleted it. I believe he
Oh,
deleted
then
it.
I know the
because-
tweet you're talking about then, because there's this tweet that's going around that's like showcasing that. But that tweet is literally from May. So it's a tweet that's from May that happens to be on the day in which a bunch of news sources are showing that he sold out really quickly. So it's likely that, after selling out extremely fast in his hometown, he's
So
saying
it's a
that
different
more
tweet. It was like, we're wild in or something, letting the wild ones in or something.
That's
like
the exact
that.
same. That's the exact same tweet.
Oh,
So
really?
like, so it's like in that tweet, it's like that's the day in which like the concert sold out really quickly. So it's likely that when he is saying this, he's just saying like, this is a crazy ass concert. We're gonna get more people than that in. But like, to say that is like indicative of him having a strategy of letting people in and like allowing more and more people to get in. He wasn't even there. Like he wasn't there, like right there, like letting people through the gates. There's still security, etc. And even then, if he made this tweet in like May, and what is it, like it's November, so like if we found that tweet and we're not even like, I'm not even from Texas or anything, like why wouldn't the venue be prepared?
I'm confused why, like, if that's when the tweet's from, like every single article I've read has not mentioned that. They make it seem like it sounds like it was like
It's on the tweet.
while he
'cause
was performing.
Tweets have dates on them.
Well,
Yeah,
like,
like-
not all of the articles I've read have
No.
shown the
This
tweet.
is-
They
this-
literally
this is
quote
why-
it.
This is
This is why I was
telling you.
going in. No, I was going
You're not
into
a-
this
you're
before.
not- You are
Like,
not,
the media
you're,
is pinning
you are an
this.
ally, and just remember, they wouldn't do this if it was Alec Baldwin. They would show
Like,
the date.
no, but
They
like
would
this
show
is
the
not.
date.
This is what I was talking about. Like, right? Like, I'm not saying like they're outright saying like, Travis Scott evil, but like some shit like this where it's like, yo, it's a tweet. The date's right there, dude. Like, going forward, that's like, I wonder why. I can 100% believe that a lot of these media organizations are run by fucking dumb fucks. Yes, let's just get that out of the way. But like the rest of them,
So
the websites
sorry.
that cover social media and shit, I'm just like,
I mean, no,
Why?
it's not uncommon for people, for news organizations to leave.
Hey,
things
hold on,
out
hold on,
to further like to drag out a story, make it more
Thank you.
juicy. And it happens all the time.
thank you. Like,
Victoria, then Jason.
So I was so there's two things that I want to address. One about like him going to the after party. I know that was kind of in the past, but there was one incident. Well, the one thing that I was kind of comparing it to was like the Who incident in '79. Yeah, they didn't let the Who know that any of that shit happened until after everything anyway. So it's like you have before even the they did the concert. They did the full concert not knowing that like 7 people had passed trying to get into the concert. So that I can kind of like understand. But as for accountability, I'm reading an article that's saying that he pled guilty 2 prior times to inciting violence at his concerts.
so
So
he
this,
should plead
like-
guilty for this one.
And I think those charges are complete bullshit anyways. There's so many times that like artists have done things like this, and he's the one that gets charged.
Well,
he
I'm just
pled
Yeah, like how many
guilty
times
to-
like metal shows where they
he
do like
pled guilty in the-
mosh
he
pits
pled-
and walls
he
of
pled
death and
guilty
shit.
in the past, so we should look at that and be like, he should plead guilty for this one. Like, I can say that, but then like I can look some of the shit up, like look at the venue and shit and see how unsafe it was, and I'm just like, no, Like, he shouldn't plead guilty for shit that, like, he can at least fight. Like, when I hear someone pleading guilty, like, either they're just trying to
This is
get
what they
out of
wanted
it
to
and
do to Meek
settle,
Mill.
or
Remember.
like they either want you to settle, so like, yeah, I'm gonna just plead guilty, or like, I fucking did it, so like, there's no way I'm getting out of this. The easiest way for me to get out of this with like jail time and shit is to plead guilty, or else I'm getting like that super.
That's what they
I
did.
mean-
That's what they're trying to do to Meek
Like-
Mill.
So to answer Amanda Smash's question, which was that, you know, what kind of accountability should he be held to? Well, I think, like I said, I think as the organizer, as part of the organizer of the event, he's going to be held to some accountability monetarily anyways. To some degree, it may be small, but he'll be held accountable. I think the other thing that he can do is just, you know, look to going forward to finding better ways to model his security and his infrastructure for these shows. And I think that's really what he can do to be held accountable. And I think that it's going to be, and here's the thing, if he does right by his fans, like it sounds like he's trying to do, his fans are going to determine what happens with him, right? Because if they feel like he's abandoned them, then they're going to abandon him, you know? And I think that's, you know, how basically the accountability is going to happen. I think that they, you know, his fan base will hold him accountable, and that'll happen in slumping record sales and people going to shows. Now, if he corrects course and, like, you know, because like I said, it sounds like he just, and it's, I don't think it's his fault. I think people are just really into the guy. They just really, really, really like the guy, you know? And so wherever he goes, it's like people go crazy about the shit. So I think that knowing now how bad it can get, I can see him saying, okay, we need to you know, kind of reinvestigate how we handle, you know, my public appearances, how we handle my shows. And I think that's where the accountability lies. Just make it right. Like, learn from your mistake. You know, it sounds like he's trying to do right by those families. It sounds like he's trying to do right by the people that died, and even the ones that were injured and didn't die. And I think that's the first part. He's doing that without having to have the court intervention, you know? So I think that's where the accountability lies, and that's what he can do.
That's
I think-
interesting. It's really, Will, you're gonna like this, okay? Because I started out against the race thing, but now the more I see, like, look, in August of this year, a 60-something-year-old man died at a mosh pit at a Slipknot concert. Slipknot is a band of whites, right? Who do you think got sued? Was it the band who was encouraging people to do this mosh pit and didn't stop when they saw this man get knocked over and fucking die? No, they didn't stop the show there either. Live Nation got sued. Why is it that Travis Scott is getting sued by these people? Why didn't Slipknot get sued? Yeah,
because he's an organizer. If Slipknot is an organizer, then they would be held liable too.
Wait, hold on. Why are there fucking news articles about Slipknot getting the 60-something-year-old man murdered at a mosh pit, right? Which is something that they encourage at their shows. Why wasn't that a big deal in fucking August when this happened?
Between one person dying, I mean, like, this is going to sound awful, but people, like, one person dying at festivals and things like that due to, like, drugs.
Say that to the family.
It wasn't drugs. It was a mosh pit.
It was a mosh pit. It was a 67-year-old man in a mosh pit. Like, he didn't, like, overdose. He overdosed on, like,
and someone, and he
I'm
died.
saying that, like, one person dying at a concert is relatively normal. I don't want to say relatively normal, but, like,
maybe
at
a
festivals and
Slipknot
things.
concert.
But, like, nine
is that
people
normal
is
at
very
Travis
different,
Scott
and it
concerts?
wasn't just 9 people that, like, passed away. Nobody even has an actual number of how many people are hurt and injured and in critical
Who the
condition.
fuck knows how many people were injured in mosh pits, like, in fucking
Bro,
balls of
like,
death?
Who
knows how many people walk home with black eyes and shit? Like,
yeah, people, like, might break bones in mosh pits and shit. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of but
that's why there's a different security. But that's why there's a
I think the
security
common
infrastructure
problem
around it.
here
That's why
is
there's more medical staff. That's why there's more EMTs, because they're aware of that. That's what I'm saying. They account for that.
not for
That,
a
you know.
67-year-old man.
I
He was
don't know,
I mean, but, like,
the common
okay,
problem here
so-
is Travis Scott fans, and maybe this was Darwin's way of helping us.
100%. I'm like,
that's
for
the
first
thing
and
is
foremost.
that-
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I've spoken more than you.
Well, I was just gonna say, but that's why you have security that is on point. Like, I went to a Korn concert like 3 months ago, and there was a mosh pit, and as soon as somebody got hurt, security was like right in there, getting the hurt person out, getting the person who had actually hurt the other person out. Like, they were on it so fast.
So,
We didn't even realize it was happening until we saw the person getting taken
So,
away.
like, well, when you bring this up, I'll just go back to the fact that, like, because we talked about this earlier, their security apparently just wasn't organized that great. They,
Right.
when the barricades were broken down, they apparently could not even hold that little bit of line. Like, they were having the police officers do that shit when they're supposed to be paramedics and shit. So, like,
Right.
we could say that, like, Travis Scott is responsible, but then I'm like, yo, if I hire someone to do a job and I'm like, here's your money, you go do your job, and then they don't, like.
Well, it's not to say that
With
Travis
the-
Scott couldn't turn around and sue Live Nation too.
I mean,
know?
yeah,
Right.
like, with the
He
legal,
He
with
could
the
turn
legal
around and
shit-
be like, "Fuck
Yeah,
you,
but, like,
Live
with the-
Nation."
You didn't
with the
hire enough
legal shit-
security for this.
Yeah, with the legal shit in play, like, Travis Scott doesn't seem responsible for that. That seems like it seems to be a Live Nation issue. So it's like, if we're holding people responsible for, like, the security not doing their job and what, like, did he specifically choose the security? Then I just say, like, yo, he made a bad choice, but them niggas did a bad job and they should be held responsible for not doing their job. Or did Live Nation do it? In which, like, you have a history of this type of shit, so yeah, legal repercussions, broski.
Yeah, and I want to point out that actually Slipknot did stop the show for that guy and did allow medics to come in. They did make sure, and the dude was pretty fervent about stopping everybody when that shit went down. So, like, yeah, I like.
Wait, did they stop the show or did they pause the show to get him out? Because that's exactly what Travis Scott did when he noticed people that were injured.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you should do. I mean, nobody's saying stop the show completely unless it's like
Yeah, they
and
are.
it's Travis Scott's situation as a mass casualty event. There were several people that were
Hey.
injured and several people that died. You're talking
did,
about one
right?
person
Okay.
here, and they absolutely did stop the show to allow
Wait,
for the
they
medics to
they
get in there
paused
to
the
pull the
show.
gentleman out.
But, like,
Which is,
Travis
again,
And
Scott,
I would
exactly
hope
what
that
Travis
Travis Scott
Scott
did
did.
that for
He
each and
paused
every
the
one of
show
those, but
multiple
I can
times.
understand how he could not see everybody that was being hurt or injured. That's why he couldn't necessarily do that for each and every one, right?
I
Did Travis
think
that's
actually
fair.
pause the show? Like,
Yeah,
I feel. Wait, for how long though? Was it like, hey, get help here, blah
It
blah?
was like
wait,
40
like,
seconds, and then he
Yeah.
paused.
Yeah, it
There's like
was-
multiple
But-
videos
Was-
where he pauses the show for
For-
different reasons. Yeah.
for like 40 seconds.
But not
No,
like,
that was
like
one of the
actual
instances, but-
pauses being like, hey guys, chill out, let's get paramedics through. That was it. He's just like, oh hey, let's get paramedics through. Hey, somebody's hurt over there. And then he looks and then okay, and then he continues his set. Like, there wasn't like 40 seconds is generous for how long he was
Dude,
pausing those those pauses.
I would say, like, one thing is, like, first and foremost, like, Travis Scott's a piece of shit. Like, he's a horrible person. He's like, I don't like the idea that he's like some nice guy.
No, he
You
is
guys
not
bring
a.
up some of these like artists
He's a dick.
that go to like that stop and then they say like, well, like, I want to make sure everyone's okay, everything, and they do all this stuff. Like, they sound like really nice people, and like they sound like they're doing, like, they have a lot of personal responsibility. They're really nice. I don't think Travis Scott's a good guy. I think he's a shitty human being. But it's the idea that people want to hold him specifically accountable here because I largely believe
Because
there's a
he's
racial
black.
element, and they
I
want
mean, like,
Travis Scott is the one who has to take the brunt of all of this. And it's like, well, look at how shitty he is. He's demonic. There's people who are saying that he had a satanic ritual. There's people that are saying like the most egregious shit about him. And it's like, you gotta ask yourselves, would they be saying that shit if he was, I don't know, like
Yeah,
Ed
I gotta
Sheeran?
say-
Hey, now
Like,
hold
well,
on. They say Slipknot's
I
satanic
gotta
too.
point something out.
Granted,
I gotta point
Slipknot
something
may
out.
be satanic.
Imagine.
but
wait, no,
Slipknot's
they
satanic too.
say Slipknot satanic because like they're a fucking metal band, bro. Like, metal bands have
So
always
just
been
because you're a metal
satanic.
band, you're satanic. You never heard of a
Yes,
Christian metal
yes.
band? Striper?
They're not
Christian
metal.
band.
They're not metal.
Okay, I gotta point
Not
something
of
out.
this
So
world.
even wiggle even on this panel, right? The three people who are defending the good name of Travis Scott are people of color, all right? And the ones that are saying that he's liable and that he's evil. and shit,
Mid is
They're the-
kind
are the
of
white
defending
men,
it.
okay?
Jason kind of defended Victoria.
Nah, Jason
you
came in
come to
here-
the right
You
side.
came,
Anton,
yo,
Anton,
Victoria
Anton.
came in. Victoria came in, was like, yo, he killed
Murdered.
these.
She murdered.
He
people.
I
murdered
just
him.
gotta say, maybe there's something to what Wiggle's saying. Okay.
I'm saying, like you come to the table with like he's responsible a bit, not like He murdered them. It was him. And then the
Listen,
other part is like
he
the
ain't a
idea that Travis
Me out
Scott,
there and curb
Travis
stomp
Scott,
them.
even if Travis Scott, it wasn't his job, he should have done something because he saw something, and because he saw something, he should have been the one to step up morally. It's like, but you got Houston PD right there,
You gotta
who are
think
like
about
holding and taking care of the
logistics.
scenario, and then he's looking at them. He's like, all right, maybe they got it, and then nobody goes like, Houston PD, they should have got on
They
the stage
fucked
and
up.
ended it.
No,
They
no,
should've-
Wiggle,
They should
Wiggle,
have said
right,
it's
correct
over.
it.
The
No,
concert's over. There's dead people, but it's Travis Scott.
Listen, you need to
Like-
correct yourself. I'm the one here saying, like, these police officers didn't do their job. Like, you just said that, and I'm like, yeah, I could 100% be like Travis Scott and look down and see the shit and be like, oh, the police that, like, my organizers sent in, like, Houston PD, right? They got this. And then finding out that, no, they don't have this at all. I would be surprised that they did not have this.
I mean, to tell you the truth, as the artist, I would be fucking pissed. Like, I would be furious.
I imagine
with
he
the-
is.
with
We
How
just
dare
ain't
these
getting
fucks
that.
guys.
Listen,
I would
can
be
I
losing my
actually-
shit on people. Like,
And
no
keep in mind,
question.
I just got to say this for the audience because I know they're going to start on this time. We're not saying like he's some moral angel. No, he's a piece of shit.
Right now, I am.
But like,
No, personally, I think
Right
he's
now?
just an angel. He didn't.
Yeah.
do wrong.
No, do we? No.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything wrong in this situation.
So, look, Jason, do you mind if I ask you, as somebody like you're a performer and stuff like that, and you've even openly admitted you've stopped shows, you've taken the hit like through your contract and stuff like that. Like, since you have a little more insight about what it's like to do this kind of job, like, is it like, are you the person, like, or would you be the person who kind of like agrees to like what set standards there are, what kind of security there is, how many people, like what kind of like, or like how many medical personnel you have, how many security personnel you have, or do you just kind of like wind up in the situation and you're just like, I'm kind of okay, I'm here to perform?
So,
Point out one
often
difference.
you-
There's a huge difference on levels.
as an
here.
artist, you don't get a whole lot of say in that unless you're like organizing the event. Now, I have been a part of
Okay.
organizing my own shows where I actually put the show on myself, where we went through and did hire local security, you know, where we dictated what bands are coming on, who's producing the show for us, you know, all those things. And in those instances, yeah, I did have, you know, the ability to have some say in the logistics. Overall, I relied on the promotions company I was working with to do the right thing, and they just kind of checked in with me. I mean, I'm still an artist, you know, but I have things that I want to see in the show. I may not necessarily be like intertwined into every little piece of the logistics, which is why you're really hoping that the production crew that you're working with and the security crew that you're working with is you know, on the level.
doing their job.
Exactly. And that's why I was saying before, Live Nation has a pattern of this. Even from back when I was doing shows, they've traditionally been very bad about it. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't do shows with Live Nation after the first couple events that I did with them, just simply because of weird logistical issues. And it's not just, you know, in my case, luckily nobody died or anything like that, but we did have people get hurt at the first Live Nation show I did. And then the second one, it was a money situation. But
So, Jason, if you don't mind me asking, like, how big were these shows that you were playing?
few thousand people.
Okay, so even in a show like that, you're relying on the security people and the organizers to catch these things, right? So can you imagine 50,000 people or more, right? This massive fucking crowd. And I've watched the videos of people like chanting, you know, stop the show. They do it for like 10 seconds while he's performing. How the fuck is he supposed to hear that? They're like 500 feet away from the dude.
Sure.
Like, I
sure.
don't know. I feel like
That's why I don't hold him so morally responsible. I mean, he maybe could have done better to stop the show, you know, or like elongated the periods that he stopped, you know, paused it or whatever. But that's why I'm not big on like, I'm not jumping straight down his throat. To me, it's more like just the organizers and stuff like that. And yeah, like he could be civilly liable, but like I say, that's on paper. It's just on paper. It's not like, I don't think personally he was in there dictating what happened with all the security and all this shit. And, you know, he is personally the one responsible, but because he put his name on the fucking piece of paper, courts and the plaintiffs are going to go after him for it and probably win a little bit from it.
I mean, like, the plaintiffs are definitely gonna go after him. Like they already are, and like, obvious why it's a Travis Scott concert. I got hurt. I'm gonna sue Travis Scott. But like, then we get into like the whole legal arguments. Is like, I don't know if those are actually gonna hold, like because of like how the contracts seem to be based on like the articles and shit. Like, I don't know how much those are gonna hold legally. And then when it comes to like the moral aspect, fucking hate the guy, like personally, like as a human, like he just does not seem like a good person, but like he seems to be doing like his best to like make the fucking sure like this doesn't happen again. Like since it's his hometown, like I think he's taking this a bit more personally than if it was like, you know, Rochester.
Bottom line, I'd imagine like after that kind of publicity and stuff, like negative publicity and stuff, like it's kind of like he has to kind of do something to change, because you know he wants to get booked at venues in future. He wants to have more concerts. He wants more people to go to his concerts. I think liability, once again, like Travis Scott, like I think morally that's the one thing you can really come after him for, is because even if everybody does this and gets away with it or something, you could still make the moral like judgment on him of like, well, if he sees somebody that's hurt or something, like he did at some point choose to take a certain action or what have you, and morally he could feel some type of way. But that's a good thing that we don't live in like a society that's based off of one person's moral judgment or what have you, or else we'd have a really wacky world that we would live in here in America. And other than that, I would say like Travis Scott, honestly, it just made me realize how many people just hate him. From my perspective, I'm like, like I listen to Travis Scott's music. I like some of his music. I really don't think he's a good person. I've been to some of his concerts. I've been to maybe 2-3 concerts of his. 2 concerts of his. One that is like that he was at. I've gone to other concerts. They were better. He's not like the most amazing performer or something. And this is like, damn, the backlash that this guy got here. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, like, I'm not like, this isn't in reference to you, Victoria, but like, there are like articles and people like, he killed these people, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you were being hyperbolic, lighthearted, we're joking on the panel, but like, there are people who are on it like, he killed these people, he's evil, look at his past, look at it, and I'm just like, bro, what the actual fuck? Also, if you want to say he has some bad fans and he cultivates a net, sure, his fans are rowdy, I've been to his concerts, they're fucking assholes, just like he is. You can blame him for that, but like, that whole, like, he killed it, like, nah.
I'll be straight up with you. I have like Travis Scott collabo Nikes and shit. I actually really like some of the like clothes, and I like some of his music and shit.
His music,
the music's good. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know why people are saying he's trash. That's to me is like indicative of like, all right, I see where the judgments. I see how some of the judgments coming
exactly.
in.
The problem is Travis Scott fans. That's the issue.
Do you guys?
I'm actually.
Hey, I'm a Travis Scott fan. What are you saying, Doobie?
Why didn't you stop the concert?
Okay, this actually makes my case. Okay, look at Jason, Travis Scott fan. You know what you're dealing with, okay?
Listen, no.
How much did he pay you?
Jason. Jason's good.
You came in here midway.
Jason's good up until he gets like that 6th beer in him, and then it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Right now, he's reasonable. Jason, he's like nice, he's cool, collected. Wait till like the after panel.
Working on it.
Think that
the warning sign is when this hat comes on. It's all.
Can you guys not hear me?
No, we can.
I can hear you just now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to insult Jason. Go for it.
Do you guys think that the brands that are distancing from him should be doing that? Do you think that? How do you guys feel about that?
I don't give a fuck what a company do. At this point in American history, I'm like, yo, they gonna latch on to whatever shit make them look good. Right now, you got a bunch of people unironically saying this dude is a Satanist murderer who let this happen because he advocates for riots and shit. And I'm like, if companies are like, bro, most of our supporter base is going to buy into that, maybe we should distance themselves. I can see that as a reasonable decision. Like, like for me, like what should they do? It's based on each and individual company. Some companies have majorly conservative audiences who tend to hate Travis Scott. Like, that's just the fact. If they see their audiences are like fighting back against them and like doing like the fucking like we're gonna burn the fucking Dyson mobile or whatever, like then the company should do what protects their interests. We live in a capitalist society. Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
That's kind of how I feel about it too. I mean, they're each going to have to do what optically looks the best for them. He may pick up a really dope ass contract with somebody else who wants to play on this and turn it into, help build out a brand, like because of this, that does happen. Unfortunately, some people prey on, the negativity side of things to build a brand. But yeah, ultimately they're going to have to decide what their shareholders want and what their customers are going to be willing to accept. And I think you're right. I think it's going to vary depending on.
I only say this because I hold this opinion. Like, I don't think Travis Scott is a good person. Like, if you're like, no, I don't want that. Like, and it's not because of this incident. It's because he's not a good person that I'd say, like, yeah, I don't want like companies latching onto that. Like, I don't want that to be like, seen as like a role model, which we could say like leeches into his fans and shit like that. Like, I don't want that personally, but I understand that like art subjective and shit, blah blah blah. People get famous, so like, if I'm not gonna curtail that in any way, then like, yeah, if they're gonna make these decisions, and I gotta let them.
I think it's like venues are not gonna want to book him. He's gonna have to deal with it, just like you guys are saying. But other than that,
Right.
He makes popular music. There's a lot of people that want to listen to his music. The guy has like a documentary that like Netflix has on him and stuff, and he's still alive. The dude is like in there. He has those connections already. There's artists that will support him. There's people that will listen to his music. So as long as he makes good music to people, then he's gonna have an audience, and he's going to have people that are like going to support him, and there's gonna be someone who wants part of that money. But venues, on the other hand, that doesn't necessarily can get like the same amount of money he's getting from concerts, because like, people, unless you're like a really big concert that has like really, really good security, like they're probably not going to want you anymore if that's what you bring,
Or he's going to have to pay like huge insurance to do shows, or there's going to be all sorts of weird.
I can't even make that. I
probably will get goosebumps every time.
Like, I can't even bite into that argument, because like people are like saying to show like this happens all the time. Like, people mosh at the shows all the time. Yeah, but the difference? People died at this one, and from I can see, it's from like the unsafety like levels of like the venue itself. So like venues could impose that, but it's like he's done this before and it's not been an issue. He's been prepared for what he does. So it's like, why would they take that issue? I feel like the venues would be like, yo, maybe we should make sure we're prepared. I mean, but I can see why they would try and blame.
There were issues. There was like a few issues in the past. It's just there wasn't debts. So like,
yeah, in 2017, he was arrested and accused of inviting fans to bypass security and rush a stage at a show at the Walmart Arkansas Music Pavilion 2 in Rogers.
It was a crazy one. I can't remember what year it was, but it was a crazy one where it's just like someone jumped off.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Someone jumped off like the third floor or some shit for like during his concert for him or some shit, and he didn't like ask them anything. The person like broke their
so
limb.
Like, yeah, when we say we can blame him for his audience and like letting this shit happen, right? Like, I do understand, like, yeah, we could definitely blame him for letting this type of community grow. Like, who the fuck is like, oh, this dude just jumped off the third story? Nice. Yeah.
Dope.
No.
Sweet.
I would literally in the middle of the concert be like, Jesus fuck. Like, no, I could not hold that in like a reaction like that. Like, you just jumped off the third story.
And see, that's why like Smash's question where he's like, oh well, like, do we like, what about the brands? I feel like it's kind of hypocritical of them to kind of pull out the way they are, because they knew what kind of person Travis Scott was. They know he's a fucking crazy psycho person who has these crazy psycho fans, because like I said before, he's pled guilty twice to inciting violence at his shows. And so it's like for them to just be like, well, that's okay because nobody died, but this time somebody died, so therefore it's not okay. To me, that just
okay that he It's not okay that he like did this in other shows and people didn't die. But like for this one
Right.
specifically, like this is why I'm saying like we can
It
blame
was-
him for the culture, and like that's why he should feel bad that like he brings this type of audience. He should feel bad that he like
Wait,
his
so he
Hold
was
on, I really
scarred,
like
right?
Victoria's point, and I don't think she was finished making it.
Right, and so it's one of those things where he has this air of him, of what kind of people he brings around, what kind of people he wants at his shows. Because like I said, I'll try to find it, and like there was the tweet, the mysterious tweet of like seeing if he actually did, because there was saying that like he deleted a lot of tweets after this shit happened. But to me, it's one of those things where you have to realize the type of person you're bringing to your show, the type of and what that person brings. Because just like you said, there was the 60-something-year-old guy who died at a Slipknot concert because he was in a mosh pit. But when you go to a Slipknot concert, you kind of expect a mosh pit to happen. When you go to metal shows, you expect when you know the band that you're going to, you kind of have an expectation of what's going to happen at that show. I went to a Korn concert. I expected mosh pits. I expected walls of death. I expected all of that comes with going to like hard rock or metal concert. You go to a Travis Scott show knowing it's going to be fucking wild and crazy. So it's just like, you don't obviously go there expecting to die, but you don't go there expecting that it's going to be like a very
They're
chill
expecting to live.
kumbaya show.
like I just think like yeah, well, you make the point, like the full point, even like again, like the blame just goes back to like the actual facility itself. Like you're right, when you go to a Travis Scott concert, the little front stage area shit, like do you expect people to jump over there and shit? Yeah, 100%. Do you expect it to be like this closed off death zone where like if you get enough people in, it feels like you're just in a room that you can't get out of? No, I don't think people would expect that. Even like the fans who went to previous Travis Scott concerts and did this, I don't think they were like, bro, like I did, like I think they were like, bro, like we usually could just like get back out or like hop.
Well,
the
I
fence or
think
something.
I think that contributes to it. I think that's one of the biggest factors contributing to it, because like they said, those gates at the front, they didn't break. They didn't break down. You couldn't get through them because what happened at previous concerts? They broke through them and they fucked up everybody past those gates. The security, the photographers, everybody else that's beyond that gate that's supposed to have that gap of separation for safety, it got broken through, and the people that are beyond that gate got fucked up. So what did they do for this concert? They made sure those gates couldn't get broken. And what did that turn into? More people getting hurt.
Yeah, okay, but I think that bringing up that he's pled guilty to like inciting a riot or whatever before is kind of weird. He took responsibility, he pled guilty, he paid the fine, and he moved on. Like, I think that pulling something up from like what 5-6 years ago or some crazy shit like that to say that this is like a pattern of behavior when he's been actively touring since then is kind of fucked. I think he is what's they say, you do the crime, you do the time. He did it. Leave him the fuck alone, right? And saying that there's like this culture where he's going to be inciting riots and shit at his concerts when the last time that happened was apparently like 2017 is I think it's a stretch. I don't know. It seems like if his concerts are known for being really like rowdy and wild and shit, well, hey, that's the venue's responsibility. They're having this dude there. They've agreed to have him there. They should know that they're going to need to have extra security there. So I don't think that like talking as if like, oh well, what kind of guy is coming to town? It's Travis Scott. What kind of people those people are. I think we're getting really close to like no, we don't like his kind around these parts kind of talk, and it's kind of weird. So
listen,
it's almost like you charge a certain individual and like you're charging him for life, even when he serves his sentence. I'm just
listen. When I make the moral, like I'm not gonna hitch on to like he did the crimes in the past. But, like when I make the moral argument of like like they're a rowdy bunch, that I would make that same thing about Slipknot, right? Like I like their music. I don't necessarily want to get punched in the face because like I accidentally wandered into the mosh pit or some shit like that. No, thank you. Like I don't like that type of conflict when I'm like, I'm listening to music and then it's like, oh, I just got punched in the back of the fucking head. I might have a concussion now. That is not like the expense I signed up for.
there's a thing with mosh pit culture too, and there's like a code. You know, you see somebody fall down, you pick them up. You don't let people prey on the vulnerable. If somebody gets thrown into the pit that doesn't want to be in there, you help them get out. You know, the big guys help pick up the little guys. You know, it's not just like people going in there and punching each other in the face. That's not what happens.
That's not what that is.
I've been in several, and I've never been in a mosh pit where people are running around to like punch people in the face. You know,
I haven't been in a mosh pit like that. My brother's been in one, and like I will say, like it wasn't like one of these big organized concerts. Like there was blame everywhere. Everyone, like the facilities, everyone had blame in that. Like he fucking broke his leg. But like again, yeah, that's just like when I say like I don't like that type of culture like in the music. That's what I mean. Like it's not just Slipknot. This is something I would criticize them for, and other bands with mosh pits. And this is similar with Travis Scott. Other rappers that are like, advocate this shit. Like I saw someone in chat being like, yeah, that guy that jumped off, he told them to. Like if rappers are doing that, I don't like that. Like you're putting people in danger, kind of, and that's my viewpoint. Now, like the bands that do these shits, like mosh pits, good on you. You're taking your proper precautions. Can't really complain about you. I don't like it. I won't participate.
Iro, go jump off a bridge.
You know what?
No.
No.
Oh,
well, hold on.
No.
Wait, don't stop him. Wait, so no, just kind of
like this. Is the thing. It's like
But I think it's remedied. I think it can be remedied. I really don't think like people have to walk away with like doom and gloom. Oh, forever the Travis Scott concerts are going to be doomed forever.
No.
I just don't think that's it. I think it's just there needs to be adjustments made.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. And if they want to have the rowdy ass concerts, he can have the rowdy ass concerts and do the thing.
The precautions.
And just make sure that there's
simple.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the difference between the because we brought it multiple times, the Scott situation and the Baldwin situation?
You already know Prime. The difference, the chief differences.
We don't even gotta
like I
say
said,
it.
I was against the racial narrative before, but after listening to these white people try to slander Mr. Travis,
land of traitors.
I don't know. I'm thinking
if I could just for like, because I feel like on both sides of the coin you can kind of say like, oh, well, Alec Baldwin is at fault because he should have checked the gun. He should have checked to make sure that there wasn't like any real bullets in it or whatever. Like just being able to do that for yourself as an individual. Like the same thing with Travis Scott. Like he should have taken the precautions to make sure that the venue was safe, that he had the adequate security, that he had the adequate, whatever to make sure that this wouldn't happen. But then on the other hand, just like with the Alec Baldwin situation, he's an actor. It's not his job to check, the firearm to make sure it doesn't have real bullets in it. It's his prop master's job to make sure that gun has been switched out, that the bullets have been switched out, whatever. Just like how it's the venue's job to make sure that the security is provided, that the medic is good, that whatever is needed. So it's just like that's literally the same. It's the comparison of which side of the coin do you want to be on.
I would add that, like Jason said like a few times, it would be like it's the event that books the venue that can have like security, so it'd probably be like their responsibility. But still, yes, it would be their responsibility.
Right, but
and so with
person...
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna say with the Baldwin situation, I think he's still responsible because he's the executive producer on the film. You're the executive producer, you're the showrunner, so it's not just a matter of he was the one with the gun that he got from the prop master. There was all sorts of issues with that set. They were going on strike because of the fact that there were safety concerns and safety issues. They were plinking with that very same gun that they handed over to Alec Baldwin, and he's supposed to be the showrunner on that shit. So yeah, just like I would say that Travis Scott may hold some liability as part organizer in the event, so would Alec Baldwin hold liability for what happened on that movie set. Damn straight. But
a few years ago,
Alec Baldwin, did he pause to check the gun? And when did he do any of it? Because like I see Travis Scott at multiple times being like, if something is going on, let me like look into it at least a little bit, a little bit, you know, where it's like Alec Baldwin, you know, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I definitely think Alec Baldwin is culpable at least in some part for what happened. I don't know if it's necessarily the checking of the gun, but maybe it's hiring a prop master that they knew had issues before on set with Nicolas Cage. You know, in a previous movie that he was in.
How you gonna fuck up around Nicolas Cage? You can't just do that. I wouldn't hire you at that point. Like, oh, you fucked up around that dude? He crazy. No, thank you.
Right. He went off on the prop master too. I guess he reamed her ass or some shit because she fired a gun right next to his head.
That's sexist. We can't use those terms.
A little sexist, okay?
Listen. That's exactly why I don't fuck around with Nicolas Cage. Like, he got all them actor personas, but the moment you fuck up on some shit that he's real serious about, I don't know who that is, but he go off. Like, put that shit to a beat, and it's a fire track right there. Like. I seen him yelling at people for not following COVID restrictions, and I'm like, yo, dang, he going in. Just watching this, I'm feeling pity because he just insulting your life.
Yeah, I mean, but the beauty of being Alec Baldwin is you can not even blame, just to act very sad, extremely sad, more sad than Travis Scott acted, and then after that kind of lay back. And then let society, pick up the mantle for you. Whereas Travis Scott, has to pay off, all the tickets, do everything. He can't go to an after party. Everyone's looking at every action he does. They look through all of his
Travis Scott just needs to be a better actor, like Alec Baldwin.
When he cries,
he needs to really milk those tears.
He should. When after all of this shit happened, he should have just went home and logged off of Twitter, bro.
I bet Alec Baldwin went to a few. I bet Alec Baldwin's been to a few parties after. He's had a decent time. He's probably damn, that shit was
probably
crazy.
Smiled at some point.
Yeah.
So can I say something kind of controversial?
Did he commit murder?
As long as it's
was
not
it Travis Scott's the murderer?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, would it be considered not a murder, not a murderer per se, but manslaughter? Because so for example, if you have somebody robs a liquor store or whatever, and the old lady in the back has a heart attack because she got scared because, oh my God, the liquor store is getting robbed, right? And she dies. So you would be considered, guilty for manslaughter.
No, why? What did I have to do with that?
Why did you rob a liquor store? What do you mean?
I will be charged with the liquor store, sure, but
But she died. But she died because had you not robbed that liquor store, it would have been assumed that she wouldn't have had that heart attack and died.
Yeah, but that's insane because that in itself is a felony. So it's the felony that led to that.
The responsibility of the person.
They might add it on as a charge and argue that for the prosecution, but be like, you know what? Nah, we'll make the plea deal of just the felony as a tactic. But I can't see them being because this woman got scared and keeled over. You're also being charged with this crime, which is, let's be fair, much worse than I robbed a liquor store.
I think it's the store owner's fault for not having enough security or first aid.
Where were the paramedics?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
So that's the only reason why I would say would Travis Scott be able to be held for manslaughter because had his fans not been that rowdy, or had he not had an air about him that caused fans to behave this way?
No,
that's first and foremost, what felony did he commit?
Fucking Baldwin could be maybe you can look at it as manslaughter. Travis Scott,
what level?
Physically kill anyone.
What first and foremost, what felony did he commit? Is the felony he committed being born with a darker skin color and performing music?
The original felony, perhaps.
Yeah, the original felony.
The original felony, the original sin.
What? You're equating going to a store and shooting an armed robbery and then someone dying in the store to Travis Scott performing music and then people in the crowd. But that's
the thing is that he didn't shoot and kill the old lady. She had a heart attack because she was so scared of
because there was a felony that was being committed.
There was something happening.
There was a felony.
Right. Because there was
It's like
something
if I'm
happening.
drunk driving and I crash into something, am I responsible for the dude like across the street who dies of fucking heart
It's
palpitation
a
or
felony,
whatever?
it's a
Like,
felony
Okay,
murder.
well, let's
The
phrase
crash
this
was
another
too
way.
loud.
What if you
Crash was
like
too loud.
run up behind somebody and scare them and just like
And say
like
boo.
"Ah,"
Right.
and they have a heart attack and die?
yeah, is that like maybe that's manslaughter
Make the
because you
case. I'll
directly
see you in
did that.
court. I'll see you in court.
No, like that can be argued because you directly did that action, right? It's not like you doing something else and they're just like. Like that's a difference. I'm actively like walking up on Doobie and being like, snake, your natural predator, and he's like, and then he would die. But like if I'm just like out in the woods and Doobie's on his little tree like a tree frog and shit, and then like hold on, and then like I have to take down this fucking gazelle with my bare hands or whatever the fuck is in the rainforest, like, and then he dies. That's not on me. I didn't do that to him.
I feel like we're in a good place where you are. Like if you want to, the more like blame that you look for, the more then it's gonna be like, well, I guess let's just blame the people that went there and did the trampling.
It's the
Let's
old
just
lady.
go to that
It's the
extent
old
too.
lady's
Like
fault
we're a
for
good
being
place here.
in the
You want
store.
Travis Scott to share some blame.
No,
right
it's
now,
her
Travis
fault for
Scott
being
shares
in the
some
liquor
blame.
store. Why was she in the liquor store at that specific time? If we're looking for blame, that's what I'm wondering.
No, I'm being dead honest. Like, if you want to go further, it's like right now you have some blame that you're placing on Travis Scott. If you then go further and go to the extent of like he's responsible for like death, then like at that point you're asking him to be like, well, if I'm responsible for death, I'm gonna find all the people that like I refunded their tickets and everything that were in the crowd, and I'm taking some of the blame away from all of them. And now it's like I want you to find who those people were. And now they take blame because they're the ones who did the trampling. And is that what we want? Do we want like 20 people, like everyone involved in any of the trampling, to also take blame? Because like Travis Scott, he's gonna be like found for murder. So all the other people that were involved in this murder are also found. Or are
Like,
we
if we
happy
find
with
your
like Travis
footprint
Scott
on
taking the
them,
brunt of
like-
it with his?
Yeah, it
with
is kind of
Nation?
weird that we're talking about the guy on stage being responsible and not the actual people who crushed these fucking people in the crowd.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna blame anyone and like hold them legally responsible, I might go for the person whose like footprint matches like the deceased. Like I might be like,
That's the problem with these push things, though. Is like people. Are we memeing here?
No.
Are you-
No.
I mean like
that's the
when it
problem.
comes to this type of like tragedy, like there's only really two. Like you're either running away from something in a large crowd, or like a mosh pit and shit like that, or you're going towards something in a large crowd. And like that was one of the links on the article, so it's like they were going towards the motherfucker. So
Right, and that's the big part of crowd crush is that like so you have a large crowd of people. The people in the front, on the sides, and in the back are totally okay, but it's that small section in the middle where like it's even been said that you could lift up your legs and be held in place and not even fall because it's so tightly packed. You can't breathe, you can't move. There's nowhere to go, there's nothing you can do. You are just trapped there.
Yeah, and that's like based on the accounts that I've heard. Like it even like sucks you in, and
Right.
like people that were like getting like, there was a gal that said that people didn't even know they were stepping on people. Like,
No.
there were like supposedly there were like bodies underneath bodies from getting pulled down.
this
Right.
some war story shit. Jesus Christ! Like
No, it's
some shit-
awful.
It
Like
sounds
some
like
shit
a
I'll
episode
read
of
it like
Game of
there's some shit
Thrones.
I've honestly like read in like the fucking like World War I diaries. Like we were walking over the bodies and we didn't even know it, and it's like Jesus Christ, and like that type of condition I would put on the facility. Like
Yeah, it sounds like that scene from Game of Thrones.
yeah, like Jesus, that's just terrifying. Like and then like the honest question would be like, are we gonna charge them with that?
I don't know how you could, because like based on like even I was trying to understand how this happens like scientifically, and I couldn't really figure it out. But it just seems like people get pulled down, and there's really like nothing anyone can do. They're trying to escape, and that trying to get out is what causes a lot of this.
Yeah, usually what
Right.
happens is somebody gets unstable and they fall over, and when they fall over, because there's so many people behind them and in front of them, other people start collapsing around them, and as they're falling, there's still those people that are pushing from the back, so that's how they end up like kind of trampling over them, you know, and a lot of times not knowing, because the people that are pushing from behind are pushing you to where you don't have a choice but to go forward. So yeah, you end up literally walking
I'm
over
actually
people.
posting the link in chat right now because like this is what I read on it. Like here's how crowd crushing kills people, and it has to do with that, like if they're going in certain directions, like you just said, like, and for them they were just going forward. Like it can
Yeah, so
happen when
No,
you're
I'm
like
actually,
that
I'm actually
line
okay.
of
I'm actually
individuals.
very curious about something now.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking about like the liability of the person, right? That's causing the situation where people are like injured or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So what if there's like a protest and they block off an intersection or a freeway, and someone's sitting in that crowd and they're sick, and you know they need to get to a hospital, or they lose their fucking job because they're late. Like, well, do you think the protesters should be held liable for things like that?
I'll take you in good faith with this, but I want to change it a little bit, like to the equivocation of like they lose their life. Because like if it's like they're losing their fucking job, I don't give a fuck. Like
and this is why protests need permits and stuff like that, so that these things can be
exactly
handled prior.
And that's who I would blame, right? Like when we're talking protest, if it's like spur of the moment protest and like everyone's just kind of running around and rioting or whatever you want to call, like if you can catch the like if you can catch people who like actually hurt this person, but like if you just die,
you charge them for like manslaughter.
I don't know how you would do that. You would like just circle in a bunch of people from a overhead picture and then say you're all being arrested if we
like let's say someone stops. So I was affected by this one time actually when I was getting my insurance license, or one of my insurance licenses, and they were blocking the fucking exit of the freeway in like LA, right, where I need to get off at like 7 in the fucking morning. Like if those people were rounded up, right, and they were, because the police will use like not barricades, but they use that orange shit, like circle people and they round them up and they pull them out one by one and arrest them, right? So if they'd done that, and let's say I think if there's a case for liability in the case of someone like dying, there's a case for liability like financial liability, right? Because I lost money and time that day. I had to reschedule. I had to pay the fucking fee again. I'd lost my entire day, right? Because I was stuck in traffic for hours. And I imagine there are many other people in that traffic with me who had similar situations, right? Who were stuck there, couldn't get to work, couldn't get to school, whatever, right? So if we could find those people, would it be reasonable for me or other people who are affected, whether it's like financially or medically, would it be reasonable for us to be able to sue these people or put them in jail?
I think in certain circumstances, like medical issues and shit like that, you could make that argument. When it comes to financially, I would need like a really good example, because like if you get to your job and then like you're like, hey, just turn on the news, you see the third car down the left, like 7 cars back, that's me. Yeah, like I like if your job then just says, yo, fuck you, your job.
No,
just
but it's
hates
not
your
always
ass.
like that, right? So like I can give you examples where that special one just started out. If I had an appointment early that morning and I had to drive out to it, if the freeways were fucked and I didn't plan for it, I was fucked, right? Now I've lost out on the sale. I've been losing money, right, because the freeways were fucked and I didn't plan for it. So if someone's causing the freeways to be fucked intentionally, why wouldn't I be able to sue them?
Well, you can sue anybody for anything. As to whether or not
Right.
you're going to win is a different story.
Yeah, but
I'm
wondering whether or not you guys think those people would be liable.
Oh no, like no, like I could make an argument similar to like car pileups and shit, right? That like if we just have like a bunch of motherfuckers who like just pile up and like they're all fucking drunk driving after a football game, and then like they pile up on a freeway, those people are charged with the laws they broke. So like in the protest case, you obstruct and shit if it's like without a permit, like if you don't have a permit, like it's obstructing, you're not doing it legally, you'll be charged with that. But when it comes to like the liability of all the other shit, like I feel like that would just be like. I don't think
that makes any sense. I think if we're talking about the person who caused this event to happen being liable, right? And Travis Scott apparently caused people to die, or the venue caused people to die because these people rushed the stage and crushed each other, and that's somehow the venue's fault. Well, maybe why wouldn't it also be like fucking Occupy LA's fault that I was late to that fucking thing and I wasn't able to do it that way?
Because when we talk about the Travis Scott venue, like there are active.
Wait 1 second. Or if someone had died, right, because they were having a medical situation, they couldn't get to the hospital in time. Why wouldn't it be their responsibility?
Okay, so like this is why, like, yeah, if someone died, you could 100% make that argument, and especially if it's like an organized protest. The reason I say that is because when we talk about like the structure and whatnot at the Travis Scott fucking facility, we got into the topic of like all of the organizers and the security and everything that was wrong from like the bottom up when it came to organizing that. When it comes to a protest, we have two types: the random spontaneous type where people are just running around, and then like, you know, if you can catch them in the act of doing something like that, that's again like, then yes, 100%. If you have like footage of motherfuckers like pushing up against an ambulance and stopping it while it has its sirens blaring, those motherfuckers should be charged for it.
I'm talking about they're blocking the road, right? Now the ambulance is stuck in traffic.
Yeah, no, like if you can identify people like that and like someone dies, yeah, sure. Like,
is it a permitted protest? And did they?
That's what I was going to
plan on having that space occupied?
No, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, if it's a permitted protest, it 100% matters, because then there is some type of organizational effort to that. Like, you choose, like the organizational effort goes into choosing where they're going to protest, alerting the city to that protest, how large it's going to be, how many members they're going to turn out, and if they're blocking a fucking, you know, public transit road because they wanted to deviate from a path that, like, yo, the city charted this for you. Like, that can be a problem, and the organizers would be responsible for that. I don't think the individuals would. But if we're talking about like an unorganized protest where there's no permit and whatnot, yeah, like if you want to arrest the individuals and shit, like, I would wonder how you're gonna do that.
Like manslaughter or something.
No, like, yeah, no, I would wonder how you're gonna do that without literally just like taking an aerial shot and circling who you want to try and arrest.
No,
but like I wouldn't have a problem with it.
They like corral people, right? This already happens.
Oh yeah, no, like, yeah, then good. Like, if you can catch them in the act of like doing that when it's like, yo, you don't have a permit to be here, like
and do you think if someone died, those people, like all those people would be responsible for that death, right? So they could be charged with like manslaughter or some shit.
If they were preventing an ambulance from getting through and shit like that, then yeah, like it would be something. I'm not sure if it's manslaughter because like I'm not specifically a lawyer, but it would be something that's like, yeah, you led to the death of someone. If that could go through, and like I think that'd be like really interesting legislation to see go through, because like, yeah,
okay, so now I'm starting to think it's not even the concert venue's fault; it's just the crowd's fault.
No, because it's the organizers and concert venue has a responsibility to keep people safe.
Right.
Yeah, but, like this is what matters when we're talking about a protest.
They had things in place to keep people safe. But the people that they're keeping safe were stupid and
just
make themselves unsafe.
It wasn't adequate enough safety equipment, because like we said, the security wasn't able to really get in and do their job. The medics that were there weren't able to get in and do their job. There was a fucking video of the medical cart going through, and somebody like, you know, jumped on the top and like was like stopping them from doing their job. Where was security? Why didn't security pull them down and escort them out?
We actually do this.
Okay,
but you have to remember, people do get arrested at concerts and charged with crimes.
It
doesn't alleviate responsibility from the concert organizer or the venue. Just because those people get arrested for doing X crime, and they may still face civil liability against the person that they did the crime for, the organizers are still responsible as well.
Because I understand how the legal liability works. I'm saying like morally, right? I understand.
Morally, if you want to morally
the legal liability here, right? So I understand it happened on the this venue's premises, right? People got hurt. It's they're liable, right? That's how that works. But I'm saying like morally, if these people, the person who jumped on top of the ambulance or whatever the fuck they're doing, I think I saw another video of people dancing on top of a cop car while they're trying to get somebody out. It seems like, you know, if I have a bridge, right, and I put up guardrails to keep people safe, and people decide to get up on top of the guardrails and walk on them like dumbasses, and they fall in the water and die. It seems like that's an issue with them. I put things in place to make them safe.
But you know what
They
you
decided
do
not
with
to be
that?
safe. So this is
But
very
Doobie, when we do that, right? Because we do this, and you're 100% right. Like when, like in zoos and shit, when people get into animal enclosures and they're like, yeah, we say they're really dumb, but also the people who are in charge of organizing this stuff put up extra protections for like zoos and shit. If some motherfucker accidentally manages to hop into like the alligator pen, then they put up like a layer of fucking glass and a moat. Like it's like, you know, it's a fucking bridge.
Chat. It seems like natural selection. These people are already Travis Scott fans, so like, yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, no, but like now we're like moving back, right? Because like we already acknowledged the fact that like this venue itself was just unsafe, historically unsafe, and they never fixed it. Like shit like that. Like we've addressed like certain shit like that with the security and shit. Like
And
This country
I do
is
think
historically
that-
unsafe for individuals like Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do think that like the people that started pushing have some responsibility.
Of course.
Yeah, and so I don't know if there's any way to figure out who that was. I don't know how much responsibility I want them to have. I would say total moral responsibility, but I do think that like what they did was dangerous and did cause people to die. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
we're
like
talking about
back
morally.
line.
I can agree with morally, but legally, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Who's
we
that
all
back
know
line,
it's
though?
unsafe to do that, right? Like it. I don't know. I feel
Well,
like
what's
they
the
were
back
just
line,
as
Wiggle?
negligent.
So it's like you guys are saying that the thing is caused by people at the back pushing people to front, and this is like the crowd surging and stuff. Yeah, so it's like if you're on the back line, you're the people that have the most, like you know what you're doing. You're like, you know the size of the venue because you're so far back, and then you're pushing, which is causing this effect. So it's like it's weird to not look at those individuals if you're gonna look at Travis Scott.
We can't look at those individuals because they're all the way in the back of the crowd of like 5,000.
Yes, so they know how many people are in the venue more than
I don't
everybody
even
else.
think if they
And they're
knew.
pushing.
No, but
I
like
don't
even
but hold on, I don't even care about that. Like you know that the pushing at these venues can cause this type of reaction and cause deaths. It's done it in the past, and I think that if people want to put responsibility on Travis, they should definitely put responsibility on the people that started pushing.
You know, it's fair.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes, you know, where law enforcement and security can get those people, some of them do get charged, and some of them do end up getting prosecuted for assaults or different things that happen. It's just one of those things where the person that it's happening to, they have multiple people they can go after for it, right? So they're going to go after, and a good attorney would have them go after every fucking buddy they can go after, you know, from the musical act to the people pushing, to the venue, to the organizers, everybody. That's just the way most of those guys work, because they want to get paid too. And they're usually working on a contingency and they get paid off the settlement. So it makes sense.
J.G. Wentworth.
You know, but yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to be in a situation where, those people that are pushing from the back should absolutely hold some liability for sure. If they're causing this to happen and they can see who started like the stampede, if you want to call it that, or push, then yeah, why wouldn't they be responsible? I absolutely agree 100%.
Okay, so we've arrived at I think the correct position, which is that Travis Scott.
You're gonna summarize
Travis
the most
Scott-
awful takes here, aren't you?
No, Travis Scott is morally not responsible, legally probably not responsible, it sounds like the venue also had some precautions in place. People chose to ignore those precautions and to crush people in front of them because they're dumbasses. This just seems like natural selection. Dumb shit happens to dumb people.
Yeah, that's not what we are saying. That's what you're saying.
No, that's what Doobie is saying.
Yeah, that's
That's not
definitely a
the
Doobie
correct
original.
take. That's the on crack take. Like, don't listen to any of that.
That's the correct position here.
That is not the correct position.
And it seems
that is several points of the correct position.
There's video,
right?
There's video of people, like, so the guy who's like multiple people dancing on top of a cop car where you can see their faces. Those people should be tracked down, prosecuted, and put in jail because they're dumbasses and they did a dumb thing. But
you're not going to get an argument from me on that.
Yeah, leave Travis Scott alone. Did nothing wrong.
That's crazy. It's like, you know, in all these other circumstances, we got to believe the cops. We got to believe everything the cops do. Now, black man hires cops. And suddenly, you know,
We ignore that fact completely. We ignore the fact that, like, oh, they typically go all out. Like, they typically go all out. But for this one, they were like, for some reason, they were just like backing off. That's not the questions we're asking. Like, where was the presence of like these off-duty officers?
No, these officers were there. They were present.
Yeah, they dropped that girl on the head.
I heard there weren't enough of them though either for the size of the crowd.
Oh, kind of sounds like January 6th to me.
Yeah, there were enough then to drop that woman on her head when they were carrying her out.
Yeah, I know, right?
They picked her up real quick and they scuttled the fuck out of there right away.
They scuttle-butted.